Solo, a Star Wars movie, is coming out imminently, but is it in line with the rest of these Star Wars movies? So we both saw Solo. I saw it last night. You saw it last week.
I saw it last week.
And how do we do this? I don't want to say any spoilers right now.
I don't think, right. We could talk about a movie. I assure you, as somebody who's done this, in spite of the last Deadpool 2 review that we did on What the Flick.
It's out already, though, so I think it's more fair.
Right, where Ben had spoiled something. This one, we just talk about how we like the movie and you don't name names.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I'll jump on. It's fine. It's fine. Right? It's fine. My hot take on it was the scene where Han in the Death Star in the first Star Wars, we're fine, everything's fine here. How are you?
How are you doing?
How are you? It's okay. Look, if that movie was as troubled as we heard the production was when Phil Lord and Chris Miller got fired and they brought in Ron Howard to fix it, like he saved it. It's not a disaster.
I don't believe it was a disaster under Phil Lord and Chris Miller? Well, I don't know.
Right, you don't fire you don't fire the directors if things are going okay.
I had heard a rumor that one of the big reasons they were fired was because Alden Ehrenreich was the hill they wanted to die on. I have been hearing all these things about his acting and his ability to be Han in this one. I would say he performed better than I thought he would.
Yeah, he's good. He's not trying to do young Harrison Ford. He's a young Han Solo.
He looks great.
Right.
I will give him that.
He looks good. He's got the attitude down. I think the movie does some things that it somewhat sandbags Han as a character, but it's fine.
See, my issue here is the issue I thought I would have going into this, and that is he doesn't end as the Han that we meet at New Hope.
Right.
He has a very heroic story. And I don't think Han is necessarily that heroic. I think he would have been more of a jerk. I think at the end, he would have done something a little bit differently. I don't want to say exactly what it is, but he would have been more greedy, is what I would say.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. I don't know that I totally agree. I think that I don't know that I agree, but I see where you're coming from.
Okay.
You know, some of the other things I think this movie does is I actually think this movie gives us too much about Han's background.
Stuff you didn't need to know?
Stuff you don't need to know.
You know, I think they were so precious about some things.
Yeah.
And this is the origin of the thing that you all know.
Right. And one of my issues was it's almost as if everything that we know about Han, almost all of it gets crammed into this. And I think that that's a little bit too much because you get to a point, I got to a point where it's like, all right, well, check, we learned that, check. And and there were things that get left out that I actually was much more interested in, that I thought would be more fun. But again, it's okay. I think if you are deep in the Star Wars lore,
you're not gonna like it.
I think you're gonna not like it as much as someone who is, I haven't seen, maybe I didn't see Rogue One, maybe I haven't caught all of these. It's a decent intro point.
I think that aspect is definitely there. I know Jason Inman, who frequently collaborates with me, hated it. But I think you need to, from my perspective, you need to come into it knowing what it is and not expecting Star Wars Legends to be in there and for them to write their own story with it.
Right, and it's a somewhat smaller stakes story, right? This is not saving the universe. It's a heist movie.
Yeah, and it has the problems with Rogue One where we know that Han is going to survive and Chewie's going to survive and Lando's going to survive because they need to be here and they need to do this.
Right.
So that's kind of a problem that you have to work from in there.
Yeah, although I liked Rogue One better than this.
I did too.
Yeah, I liked Rogue One. I really like Rogue One. This one, again, it's okay. As Star Wars movies go, it's, I think, better than what we got out of much of the prequels.
I liked the humor in this one. And whereas I felt a lot of the prequel humor fell flat, I genuinely laughed out loud at a lot of points. And I did have a fun time for all that I've said about it.
Right. It's fun. I think it's fun, and I think that if we get another one of these, and I think if the script is a little bit, I think we will too. I think if we get a better developed script, I think we're going to have, look, this could have come off as something as cool as an Ocean's 11 movie, and it doesn't quite. This could have been a sharper heist movie.
That's fair.
But I think they crammed too much fan service in. But
yeah, there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah.
I mean, not in the same way. There was a lot of fan service in Force Awakens, which I loved, but this one I felt it was a little bit more
Right.
not as organic as I would have liked it to have been. Overall, what would you rate it as?
I think on a scale of 1 to 10, I think my score is probably going to be around a 6.
Okay.
Right.
I would give it 7.5.
Yeah.
I think you need to go in knowing what it is and being ready for that. Otherwise, you will be Jason Inman. Audience, will you go see Solo, or are you not on board yet? Please let us know your thoughts, and please try not to spoil it on Facebook and Twitter.